Good morning. Hello. Good to see you this morning. Thank you very much indeed for joining me on TalkTv, live from the Talk Radio studios. It's Petrie with you until 4 o'clock this Monday morning. And we were talking earlier about extreme dieting or extreme weight and how you can be judged by the way that you look. And this is after Kim Kardashian was accused of promoting extreme dieting after she lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks. I mean, that is a lot. And I don't think she was that big to start with. That was to get into the Marilyn Monroe dress, I think, which she didn't manage to do. But that's what it was for. So is that sort of dieting, that sort of, I don't know, view of yourself, damaging and dangerous? Well, I'm delighted to welcome my next guest this morning. It's Arj through Cheltham.
Perfect. Good morning.
I was stressed about that. Good morning, Arj. It's great to see you this morning.
Likewise.
So you are a performance coach who you were yourself heading towards the Olympics.
I was hoping to.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm a performance coach. I've got 16 years of experience in the industry. And right in the middle of that, when I saw quite a few of my friends at London 2012, I decided I'd try and give the decathlon of all events a little go.
Just a little thing, then, yeah. Start at the bottom and work
exactly.
Yeah. And so you did. You tried to do it, but you had an injury. That's
right.
Did
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. 18 months into the journey, and I ruptured my Achilles.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. That.
It was absolutely, yeah.
Same thing happened to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going to be a sprinter. No. No, look, we're talking here about these extremes every year there's diets. Everybody's talking about them, 5-2, the one where the fasting one, all of these things. And actually they can get quite confusing, because if you try one and it fails, then you try another one, you could be doing the counterbalance, the counter damage to yourself by changing all these diets all the time.
Yeah.
But when we see people like Kim Kardashian lose 16 pounds in 3 weeks, we think we can do that. Is that sane or sensible?
I think the main thing you've just raised there is we're dodging one diet to go for another diet, and this constant change. And actually what we need to focus on is education. All of these diets revolve around one principle, which is a calorie deficit. And there is some great research which kind of disagrees with the myths that we've been told for the last however many years, which basically says do it slowly.
Yeah.
Because the evidence actually shows that a large percentage of the population can benefit from doing things as fast as possible. It's really motivational. That's the first thing. You step on the scales and you say, oh, I've already lost a pound, and why not go again and keep going? But on top of that, our weight rebound. So when you finish that diet, because we do these diets in phases, hopefully, if we do things correctly, is actually lower when we do things quickly, which is the contrary to what we've always been told. But it's not a great marketing kind of stance to say, you only need to see me for 8 weeks.
Right.
Whereas actually, you can do these things in a really short period of time, like Kim has done.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was actually necessary for her in her own kind of body composition, whether she needed realistically to lose weight, is another kind of aspect. But you can do it really well in a short period of time, as long as you've had the education of what to do after it, and as one
to maintain it,
and to make sure that you don't binge, to make sure that you're in the position going into that diet as a healthy individual.
But what about these things that we're told about fasting? Right, so there's now this, everybody's talking about this diet where you, depending on your age, I think it is, you eat for 6 hours and fast for the other hours. Does that, I mean, that seems counterintuitive as well, when you're told, always have breakfast, make sure you don't have the highs and lows of insulin, keep a steady, even keel. That doesn't make sense if you're talking about fasting.
Yeah, it's a really, really great background knowledge there, Petrie. I've got to say, but realistically, fasting is something that we kind of do
we do
naturally.
when we're asleep.
Exactly. There's no magic to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
A lot of people are jumping on this bandwagon that it might actually improve your immune functioning and all these different things. We have no research in humans to support that. I'm not that similar to a rat, where most of these studies which have demonstrated that have shown that.
Yeah.
All it revolves around is this boring principle of calorie deficits. And I don't know about you, but quite often in the morning I don't have breakfast naturally.
I don't know what morning is for me.
Well, yes, absolutely.
I don't have one. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it is. You know, I go back to bed and I might get up at 10 o'clock. I go back home, go to sleep for 4 hours, get up, potter about because I've just moved, so unpacking stuff, and then go back to bed again, and then get up again at 8 o'clock. So where is my breakfast?
There is none.
There is none.
And there's some really interesting research which basically shows if you're a shift worker,
Yeah.
that you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. I can understand that, because it doesn't, you know, I was just talking to somebody called Rick. I don't know if you heard that conversation. Really nice guy. And he was saying that he's really, really thin, and that he doesn't get hungry, so he doesn't eat. And he said he really doesn't eat, he barely eats. So I just suggested perhaps he ought to go and see somebody about nutrition, because he's not getting any nutrition from food. But he's very, very thin. And people might look at him and say, well, he's malnourished. But you can also have somebody who's very, very big who's malnourished. It just means you're not getting the right nourishment, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Basically?
It is that. You can basically look at both ends of the scale, and both of those individuals have different levels of a macro or a micro deficiency. So vitamins and minerals, basically, is actually a major concern for Western populations at the moment, because we're taking highly processed foods and junk foods which are very low in nutrients.
Isn't something called selenium very important to us as human beings, and we're not getting the selenium from food anymore?
We are.
As much?
It's probably that. It's always in this balance. It's very important for men in particular. It's really closely linked to fertility as well, which, if again we look at this worldwide scale of fertility levels are dropping everywhere. So our diets at the moment aren't sufficient in what we're doing, but there is no harm in taking a slightly faster approach to the way we kind of look for weight loss, or in Rick's case of weight gain. We're probably being too small-minded about it's just nutrition.
So how would you go about losing? I mean, you don't look like you needed to lose anything, but if you wanted to go on a speed diet, how extreme can the human body go?
Really quite extreme, to be quite honest. So I run these programs. I run 4 weeks, 4 kilos, which is this program I started with Performance Physique, my business, years ago. And the idea is that you lose 4 kilos, or 8.5 pounds in 4 weeks. People actually lose up to double that in that period of time. And it's basically about looking at your week of calories rather than your day. So if you have 2,000 calories every single day, sometimes Rick's not hungry on a Tuesday, but actually on Friday and Saturday he wants to go out to the pub, he wants to go for a meal. Are you telling me he has to eat 2,000 on that day and 2,000 on that day? Instead, we just mix the calories up. So one day he might be eating 800 calories, which allows him to have the 3,500 calories on this day down the road. And with this, we're not restricting any foods. So we're making sure that I love cake, to be quite honest.
Who doesn't love cake? Cake is the best thing ever invented.
I love all of those things, so I don't want to restrict them.
No.
So I just fit them into my week, and I make sure I have an understanding of I can have any of these things, so what do I really want when I want to lose weight still? So
you would look at the calories across the whole week. Do you then reduce the calories across the whole week? Do you say, right, if you want to lose weight, it's 1,200 calories roughly a day, but you can have 1,400 one day and zero another?
Exactly.
Can you have zero?
People do, only in a clinical setting. I would say any kind of aggressive dieting really like this should only be done with a health professional.
Of course.
Otherwise, it's really poor, and anyone with an eating disorder shouldn't go anywhere near
it. No.
Exactly. But in essence, we're looking to create these large deficits of 500 calories plus across each individual day.
Right.
But remember our rule that we can can use our credit and debit system, really, and chucks 500 of those calories onto Saturday for our social occasion, for example.
And what about exercise? You talk about calorie deficit. Is a diet always in combination with upping physical exercise? Because some people can't do that.
Yeah. The first time I actually did this, the rule was no exercise.
I think I like this.
It's achievable and it's attainable.
Yeah.
A little bit of fidgeting, so tapping the foot, walking to the staff kitchen a little bit more often than you probably should be. Those kind of activities burn a lot more calories than you will by spending 40 minutes in the gym 3 times a week.
You are lying to me.
No, because you've got 24 hours in the day. Are you going to spend much time in the gym? No.
No, I hate the gym.
There we go. But if we can do little bits of movement, we win.
Yeah.
So you can do it without exercise.
Yeah. I mean, does it, you know, things like adrenaline or just getting nervous, do any of those things burn calories? Because I'm hoping that that's...
they do, but it's negligible how much more, realistically, yeah.
Okay, so I've got to fidget.
Fidgeting's great.
Fidgeting
My wife
great.
hates me for it.
Really?
I'm on the sofa and I'm tapping away.
Yeah, I'm a fidget.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're in
It's usually the left knee. Tapping. I'm tapping away. And so if people, like you said, you never go on a diet of any real kind if you're on medication or you have a health condition or you're with a doctor. But to do something extreme like this, do you find that people just take the risk and go for it? And can something like this lead to an eating disorder, or is that very much an emotional and mental state?
It's definitely the psychological aspect, without a doubt. And that's why the education is so important of, you know, when we actually run these programs, the first week we don't do any dieting at all.
Right.
We get people to understand what eating at maintenance is, and they're suddenly like, ooh, actually...
What does eating at maintenance mean?
Great. So basically, only eating just enough which your body weight would stay the same. So you're not eating more calories than your body needs.
Right.
So you would gain weight, or fewer, you would lose weight. And suddenly this awareness of, oh, I've actually been eating quite a lot. Particularly when we write things down or use an app to track it, which you don't have to do. Yeah. You suddenly become very aware of just how much kind of food does into your mouth. Yeah.
Or how little. I mean, what does it matter if you know, you often get people who say, well, look, I don't really eat very much, but I still can't lose weight. Is it, you know, maybe because it is sporadic, or maybe because you do work a shift pattern, or things like that? Can that affect?
Yeah. So there's a very small part of the population which are affected by this. It's called a reduced BMR. That's basically the amount of calories you need to stay the same weight. And the largest percentage of this actually lies within women, particularly women with PCOS. So those individuals will find that theoretically they should be able to eat 1,500 calories and stay the same weight. But unfortunately, their point is 1,100 calories, and that makes a massive, massive difference. And that's very depressing as well.
Yeah,
to be in that
quite
situation.
a lot of calories lower, isn't it?
It's a meal.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the circumstance where you're having to understand how much weight loss do you actually need. If you do, then should we take this strategy which is slightly faster? Can we look at exercise? Can we look at building muscle? All things which make the journey a little bit easier.
And do you find that women or men can lose weight easier?
It's 100% easier for men.
Is it?
It's a very small emerging area.
What a shocker.
It's always great coming from a man saying this.
Something else that's easier for men. Wow, there you go. What a surprise.
It is simply easier. There's some emerging research trying to underpin the physiological reason for it, and it's the same thing with the aggressive dieting strategy. It appears to be slightly easier physiologically for men to do it. Doesn't mean that it isn't successful for women, but more men can succeed on it.
So once you've aggressively, that your theory of this real sort of, you know, aggressive dieting, and you do that for a limited amount of time, do you then go back and do that again, or once you've done it, you then just learn to maintain it?
Maintenance dieting is the hardest thing in the world to do.
Boring as well.
Yeah. We're taught that basically we shouldn't yo-yo.
Yeah.
That's not true either. Expectation is that you should basically constantly yo-yo with your weight. And you just have to phase what you're doing at that time. So are you going to be a little bit more lenient? So you have a little bit more calories in your life and you don't track calories and you enjoy eating. And then times where, okay, I'm going to do 2 weeks, 10 days of this more aggressive format. You never ever take this for more than 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
You need a psychological rest.
Yeah. So you could lose the weight and then sort of plateau, maybe a little bit wibbly wobbly, and then if you think you're gaining again, you just do it for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, spot on. It's exactly that. And what the really exciting thing is, there's something called the set point theory. So many of your viewers may have had this themselves, where they kind of hover at this one weight. They've lost weight in the past, and they always that set point is basically the body's natural setting point.
Yeah.
Horrendous definition, and what happens over time, if you diet slowly, you don't adjust that point.
Yeah.
If you diet quite aggressively, you gradually take chunks off it. So if you're always at 14.5 stone, the first time you do it, you reduce that set point to maybe 14 stone 2, and then gradually over time doing more and more of these.
Yeah, because I've always found that my weight goes down to a certain point and stays there. Just that's it.
Yeah, and you're naturally moving the amount to basically maintain that level. It's incredible.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know.
Come and join me.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
All right. I mean, I'll give it a go. I'll be a right test case for you, I'm telling you. But do you find that people have just are surprised that they've tried everything else, or they've tried something else and it doesn't work for them, and then they've done this and gone, actually, this... Yeah. Is it just rethinking it? Is it resetting your mind, really?
It's being less judgmental on yourself, I think, is a big thing, and understanding the mechanisms of everything.
Yeah.
Basically, my approach is teach absolutely everything I know, so they know what to expect, when to expect it, and how to basically take control of their own weight. That's the thing we're all looking for.
Yeah. How
to have control over it rather than it having control over us. And suddenly, 4 weeks later, they're saying, this has just changed my life. I know what to do.
Do you tut at your wife if she's at the cake?
No, I'm usually the one asking for another slice. She's a great baker, so it's dangerous.
That is really dangerous, isn't it? Lucky for you. Listen, Arj, it's been absolutely brilliant meeting you. I shall read into this a bit more. And maybe I'll get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me.
Good test case. I'm going to give this another go. Arj Thiruchelvam.
Spot on. Thank you.
At least I can do that. Thank you very much indeed. Stay with us here at TalkTv.